What's going on, everybody? Today we've got 10 amazing saves here for you guys in FM24 post the winter update, of course, with all of the updated rosters. Now, there's three things I want to cover really quickly before we do get into today's video. Number one is all of these saves are going to be able to be downloaded because they are all custom managers, custom stories, if you will. I have another video that's kind of like this if you want to give it a watch afterwards. I'll link it at the end of the video. But essentially what it is you kind of play out the story of these managers with these clubs and try and tick off the challenges that I set for you, or try and at least adhere by what their vision and philosophy is. Well, thing number two is that all of these, like I said, are going to be able to be downloaded. They will be able to be downloaded from my Discord. I will also be putting a link down below in the description to like a Dropbox to where you will be able to download any of these saves that kind of float your boat. And lastly, number three, I have started a membership here on the YouTube channel. It's kind of like the YouTube version of what a Twitch sub is. If you wish to check it out, there will be a link down below in the description for that as well. I'll be popping up an image on screen right now for what perks you might be able to receive. If you do wish to join the membership, you'll get early access to all the videos, early access to the tactics. There's even a members only section of the Discord as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely feel free to check it out. But now, without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first save that we're going to be covering today is Mr. Football. Now, Mr. Football is known as Jason Wicke. He is the manager of Fulham in the Premier League. He wants to be the manager who takes Fulham to the top of English football. His tactical style is a 4-4-2 or 4-2-2 system. He wants to recruit the best rising talents in the UK along with the best South American talents to Fulham. He plans on becoming the most successful English manager in history and has a goal of bringing 3 Champions Leagues to Fulham. Now, Fulham are actually a very interesting team to manage post the winter update. They also were a pretty interesting team to manage prior to it, but post winter update, they have £20 million in the transfer budget to help kind of put your own stamp on this team. And you are 100% going to have to put your own stamp on this team, because when you are looking at the squad overall, the top potential player isn't even your own player. It's Armando Broja from Chelsea. Then your best player potential-wise after that is Jay Stansfield, who's currently out on loan at Birmingham City. And as we can see, age-wise, this is not a young team. It is full of a bunch of veterans that have a bunch of quality, no doubt, but this is definitely a side that you're going to be able to mold into your own. As currently, at least in my opinion, there's basically 3 players that you can kind of build around, maybe 4. One of those being Jay Stansfield, who we hit on previously. Another being the Brazilian striker Rodrigo Muniz. An absolute beast of a center back in Calvin Bassey. And then one of your best players, one of your most valuable players, Anthony Robinson. This is a side that you're going to definitely have to do plenty of business with to get them to where you want them to be and to where you'll be able to compete for those Champions League titles. And thankfully, there's a release clause that you are able to sell the clause on that will 100% help you get there a little bit quicker. The release clause is on Harvey Elliott. You get 20% of his next transfer fee. So you can either wait till they sell him, as he is valued 79 to 98 million pounds, or you can sell the clause immediately and get 11.7 million pounds to add to that 20 million pounds you already have. So by rocking that 4-4-2 or the 4-2-2, are you going to be able to bring glory to Fulham as Mr. Football? Only time will tell. Let's move on to the next one. Up next, we have El Capitan de Betis. So for those of you that don't know Spanish, that translates to the captain of Betis, and the captain of Betis is Mr. Jordi Villalba. What is his philosophy? He wants to bring Real Betis to the top of Spanish football and surpass the current day Galacticos, those being the Madrids and Barcelona. Tactical style is high-paced possession football. Team recruitment will be focused on bringing in the best youth talent from around the globe and developing them into club icons. Plans on taking Real Betis to being one of the top 3 clubs in the world, and has a goal of making Real Betis one of the top 3 most successful Spanish clubs in history. Which we all know, with the success of a couple different clubs in Spain, that's going to be quite a tall order to do. So when it comes to the finances in Season 1, Yes, you do have some transfer budget, but you are in the red in the wage budget. So do you have £2.5 million? Really? No. But you could probably stretch a couple things and maybe even offload some players to improve that transfer budget. And speaking of players, you have some very good youngsters at your disposal. One of them being 21-year-old Johnny Cardoso, another being 21-year-old Azabde, and you have a very pacey 17-year-old winger in Asane Diao. They also have another younger player who's 23 years of age. He's absolutely ridiculous in FM24. He goes by the name of Rodri, and he is absolutely incredible as a playmaker and a goal scorer. But not only do they have some pretty good youngsters, they have some pretty good veterans as well. One of those vets, if you choose to hang on to him, is Mr. William Carvalho. The very injury prone but also very good Mr. Nabil Fekir. And one of my favorite players of all time, Mr. Isco Disco. He has been on fire in reality for them, and he is still very, very good with NFM as well. In your first season, you will also be able to potentially get some silverware within a European competition as you are in the UEFA Europa League. So now that we've gone over this one, let's move on to the third club now. Now we have the Lion of Lyon. So the Lion of Lyon is Mr. Frankie Jacques. His philosophy, he wants to bring Lyon back to the top of French football and make Liga a top 3 league. Tactical style is gegenpressing. He wants to recruit the best rising talents in France, South America, and Africa to the club. He plans on becoming the most successful French manager in history, which that's going to be very difficult to do, and has a goal of bringing multiple Champions League titles to Lyon. So one reason as to why I picked Olympique Lyon is because of their struggles in recent years, and especially this season, as they were relegation candidates early on in the season because of how poorly they were performing. They are starting to do better now, especially because of some signings that they made. And speaking of signings, you will have around £3 million off the rip to maybe bring in a cheap player or two. And speaking of players, boy do they have some good youngsters right now. They've got right back Shael Kumbedi, the wonder kid who feels like he's been around for 10 years now at least, and Ryan Cherky, Mohamed El Arouche, Malik Fofana, and a very fun story and gift Orban. You have some pretty decent vets at your disposal as well, one being your left back Nicolas Tagliafico, midfielder and former wonder kid Corentin Tolisso, and Mr. Alexander Lacazette up top. And they also have a very good player in on loan in Saeed Benrahma from West Ham. And with you at the helm at Lyon, they are 100% are going to be performing better, especially with all of these players that you will be able to develop and the players that they have brought in recently from the winter update. So if you want to help take Lyon back to the top, this is definitely the save for you. Moving on to the next save, we have Sirius Black. So who is Sirius Black? It is Mark Friedel. His philosophy, he wants to end the reign of Bayern in the Bundesliga and build Freiburg into a powerhouse. Tactical style is gegenpressing with high pace. Team recruitment will be focused on bringing the best youth talents in the world with a major focus on Central Europe. And for those of you that kind of need the countries in Central Europe to find, I will pop a map up on screen right now so you guys can see them. He plans on making Freiburg the most feared team in European competitions and has a goal of bringing 5 European titles to Freiburg. So some of you may be wondering why I called this save Sirius Black. 1, because of a Harry Potter reference, but 2, because they are in the Black Forest within Germany, so it kind of went hand in hand. I thought that was pretty cool. So how much money are you going to have playing as Sirius Black? You're going to have around £3 million off the rip. And you're going to have probably one of the most well-rounded sides within the Bundesliga. Whether it be potential-wise with players like Kylian Sildia, Noah Tuvalu, the German version of James Milner and Merlin Roll, or Mika Bauer. And when it comes to overall talent, it gets even better. You have players like Matthias Ginter, Vincenzo Griffo, Ritsu Doan, Roland Salai, and Philip Lienhardt. So you're 100% set up for success right now, and for the future, you just kind of have to start adding your pieces to the puzzle. So the Sirius Black save is definitely one that I highly recommend for you. Next up, we have the Welsh Titan. The Welsh Titan goes by the name Trey Williams. He manages Swansea City. His philosophy, he wants to bring major success to the city of Swansea and will do so with a golden youth movement, aka Youth to Gold. Tactical style is gegenpressing. He wants to recruit the best youth Wales and the rest of the world have to offer that are 20 years of age and under. Now, usual Youth to Gold has it at 19 years of age and under. I bumped it up by 1 year so that it kind of gives you a little bit more leeway with being able to sign players, as most players will not want to join your club until they hit the age of 18. Even then, they may not want to come. Plus, within England, even though Swansea is within Wales, they play in the English leagues, you still have to abide by only being able to sign 6 U21 players at a time, which is a pain in the butt, but it is the way it is. He plans on taking over the Welsh national team along with club duties at some point, and has a goal of taking Swansea to the top of world football. Now, this save is one of my personal favorites on this list because I absolutely love Swansea City. And hopefully with one of you at the helm, you can help get this club on the right track and hopefully get the ownership to make some smarter decisions. Now, going into the first season, you're only going to have around £500,000 in the transfer budget, so make sure to spend that money wisely. Now, when it comes to potential, your best player potential-wise is out on loan. And that player is Nathan Joa-On. However, you do have some players that will be pretty solid Sky Bet Championship players throughout your save, those being Mikola Kukurevich, Harry Darling, and Ben Kabango. Now, talent-wise, you do have some pretty solid players for this level. However, you will have to 100% improve upon them if you move up to the Prem. But some of the players that are definitely going to be helping you in the championship are Matt Grimes, Ronald, Carl Rushworth, who's in on loan, Josh Key, and Jamal Lowe, who is also in on loan. And speaking about loans, you have 6 total players on loan at the club in the first season, so you're definitely going to have to find ways to replace them come the second season, especially if you do not move up to the Prem immediately. This save is definitely a whole lot of fun, but it is also very challenging, as you will be starting in one of the toughest leagues in the world to get out of. So if you're looking for a challenge like that, this is definitely the save for you. Next up, we have the Dragon of Porto. Now, the Dragon of Porto is a man by the name of Jose de Sousa. His philosophy is that he wants to build the nation of Portugal into the #1 footballing powerhouse in the world. Tactical style is a hybrid of possession and gegenpressing football. Team recruitment will be focused on bringing in the best youth talents in the world along with developing his own club talents. He plans on turning Porto into the Dragão Fortress, which for those of you that don't know, that is the name of the stadium, the Dragão. And what he wants it to be is a fortress for the club, for the fans, that is like the Portuguese version of an Anfield. He also has a goal of bringing 5 European titles to Porto. So with the Dragon of Porto's fairly ambitious vision for the club, the league, and the nation of Portugal as a whole, what is the type of transfer budget that you have within Season 1? You'll have £3.8 million, which is enough to get in a decent player or two on the cheaper side. Now, when it comes to potential within players, they usually produce some very, very solid players. And they do have some solid players potential-wise at the club already when you arrive. One is a central defender by the name of Otavio, former Barcelona product Nico Gonzalez, and former Boca Juniors product Alan Varea. You also have Gabriel Verón, but he is currently out on loan at Cruzeiro in Brazil. Ability-wise, you have some of the best players within the league as well. One being 40-year-old hothead Pepe, another being one of the best young goalkeepers in the world, Diego Costa. You'll have one of my favorite wingers within FM in Haino, as well as one of my favorite strikers in the game, Evan Nilsson. Now, you will have quite the squad available to you league-wise in Season 1. However, continentally, you still have a little bit of ways to go in terms of challenging for a continental trophy, especially the Champions League in Year 1. So, if you're looking to do a Building a Nation save, why not build the nation of Portugal with FC Porto? Next up, we have the Maestro. Now, the Maestro is Arda Zagioglu of Trabzonspor. His philosophy that you will be taking on is that he wants to build Turkey into a major footballing nation. Tactical style is a unique one and something people haven't seen before, aka you are going to develop your own tactical style. You can kind of model it off of different managers or gegenpressing, possession, whatever it may be, but try and make it as unique to you as possible. He wants to recruit the best Turkish talent to Trabzon and produce the best talents in the country. He plans on taking over the Turkish national team along with club duties and has a goal of winning multiple Champions Leagues with Trabzon. Now, one thing that I will say with this Building a Nation, as that is what this is going to be one of the tougher ones you can do due to the youth recruitment and youth academy levels of all the clubs within Turkey, as they are not very high. So even though Trabzon is probably one of the top 5 clubs within the country, you will 100% have to be making sure that you're developing the other clubs alongside you, basically at the same rate so that you're all producing top level talents. Now, transfer budget wise in the first season, they actually have less than what Swansea City had. They only have £347,000 at your disposal. And when it comes to potential, you have 2 players with high potential that are Turkish. One is Enes Destan, who is a striker and honestly looks pretty darn good. And the other is Ali Şahin Yilmaz, who is a very solid central defender if you are able to develop him. And for those of you that think that registration rules in England are pretty strict, they're even stricter here in Turkey, as you can have no more than 14 foreign players within your match day side. It is very, very interesting, the rules that they have in place, and they want to make sure that you are developing Turkish players because, like I said, they don't have the best youth facilities, youth recruitment at these Turkish clubs, so they want to make sure that you are doing your best to develop these players and to grow the league and nation as a whole. So due to all these rules, it's like they're basically trying to do a building a nation within reality. Now, first season, you're not going to have to worry about continental football, although there are some players that are most definitely good enough to play continentally that are going to be within your side. One of those players is Nicolas Pepe. Another is your goalkeeper and one of my favorite goalkeepers every year in FM, Gurchan Shakir, Mr. Mislav Orsic, who's an absolute baller, and you'll have an absolute beast up top on loan from Southampton and Paul Onuachu. So you will 100% have the ability to go out, win the Turkish Cup, win the Turkish League, and push on for continental success in future seasons. But all in all, if you're looking for a pretty challenging build a nation save, this one with Trabzonspor is definitely the one that you're going to want to try and do. The next save is called the Prodigy. So, who is the Prodigy? The Prodigy is Didier Seydu. He is the manager of FC Nordsjælland in Denmark. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I hope it is. It's a very difficult club to pronounce every time I try and say it. But what is his philosophy? He wants to build the nation of Denmark while also building a pathway for African talents to play in Europe. So is this a building a nation save? Technically, yes, but it's kind of a building a continent save, as there's going to be a heavy influence of African talents within your side. The tactical style is a hybrid of possession and gegenpressing football. The team recruitment will be focused on bringing in the best youth talents from Africa and the Nordic countries. He plans on taking over an African national team and leading them to a World Cup win along with club duties, and he has a goal of bringing multiple European titles to the club. Now, there's one major reason as to why I picked this club and why it's going to make it easier to have an influence of African players coming through the club. And it is due to the affiliation with the Right to Dream Academy out of Ghana. You'll be able to share scouting knowledge, but one thing that is very important is that the Right to Dream Academy may send academy players to train at the club to gain experience. You also may benefit with some of these players coming through the youth team ranks. So, one thing that this will definitely help affect is your youth intakes. You will probably get way more African talents through this club than you would anywhere else club-wise within Europe. And as you can see here, nationality-wise within the squad, it is a pretty diverse group. Now, financially speaking, what are the finances like season 1? You'll have around £6.9 million to be able to spend in season 1. So if you were trying to find some bargain African players or just some bargain Nordic country players, you're definitely going to be able to bring them in season 1, because you will need to bring in some players due to some outgoings and loan players that you have at the club. Now, outgoings wise, you're going to be losing Ibrahim Osman after season 1 to Brighton. And you will also be losing an absolute stud in Mohamed Diamande after season 1 as well to Rangers. And loan-wise, you'll be losing Christmas Rasmussen back to Ajax at the end of the year, as well as Andreas Sheldrup back to Benfica. So you will be losing some pretty important players already after season 1. You do have the transfer budget, though, to bring in some players to make up for those losses come that second season. And there's one player that you will have to keep an eye on within your side that will probably gain a lot of interest from clubs around Europe that will be able to grab you a pretty hefty fee, and that is Adama Nagalo, who is a very solid center back. And with this side in Season 1, you're definitely going to be able to challenge for the league title, for the League Cup, as well as you being in the Europa Conference League. You can probably make it to the quarterfinals or even further with this side. So if you're looking for a very unique save, the Prodigy with Didier Seydoux is definitely one for you. Moving on, we have the Grandmaster. The Grandmaster is Gav McAllister, the manager at Hearts of Midlothian. His philosophy is that he wants to take Hearts to the top of Scottish football. His tactical style is gegenpressing, and he wants to recruit the best young talents in the world to take on Celtic and Rangers. He plans on making Hearts a premier destination in Scottish football, and has a goal of winning 20 trophies with Hearts along with a Champions League title at some point. Now this save is definitely one for the long haul. It's not going to be easy whatsoever trying to overtake Celtic and Rangers within the league, especially when you only have £100,000 in the transfer budget. But this side is a lot like that of Fulham. It's kind of a blank slate and you kind of get to do what you want with the side. So if you want to try and move on players and bring in others, if you want to try and develop the potential of players that are already there, it's completely up to you. One of your best potential players though, however, is out on loan currently at Partick Thistle. It is Lewis Nelson, who can play at center back, right back, defense mid, or central midfield. So pretty versatile young player. But as we can see here, you have quite the group of players in your B team that you can help develop early on, maybe even sell for a hefty profit if you want to try and bring in some better players eventually. Macaulay Tate's 100% going to develop into a pretty solid player, as will Aiden Denholm, as both of them could be key figures in your midfield. This kid has an awesome name in Bobby McLucky, so he's going to be a fairly solid winger for you on that left-hand side. You'll have Callum Sandilands up playing as a number 10. He can also play as a striker or on the right wing. And then you even have a goalkeeper as well, who's 6'3", named Liam McFarlane. So this save, definitely one for the long haul and definitely a very interesting project as well. And within Season 1, if you can somehow find a way to win a cup, that would be absolutely fantastic, as you'll be in the league, you'll have the Scottish Cup, the Premier Sports Cup, and you will also be in the UEFA Europa Conference League. So if you're looking for a club, So if you're looking for a save with a club that you can kind of develop into your own image, this one with Hearts is definitely one to give a go. And here we have the last one for you all today. It is King Henrik. Now, King Henrik is Henrik Stahlberg. He is at IFK Göteborg in Sweden. His philosophy is that he wants to build the nation of Sweden to the point they have a big six of their own, kind of like in England. Tactical style is possession based, and team recruitment will be focused on bringing in the best youth talents from around the world to develop or sell on to grow all the clubs in Sweden. He plans on taking over the Swedish national team at some point along with club duties as well, and has a goal of bringing multiple European titles to Göteborg. Now, for those that probably don't know, the Swedish league is actually a fairly competitive league. Yes, you have the big dog that is Malmo, but you've also got clubs like AIK, Hammarby, BK Häcken, as well as Djurgårdens, all of whom produce some pretty solid talents and all of whom can probably win the league on any given day. So they kind of have a big six, it's just they need the success levels to say that they have one, continentally speaking. Now, financially, what is the transfer budget like Season 1? You have a little over £500,000 to work with. When it comes to player potential, you have a boatload of players with decent potential. It's kind of crazy how much potential is in this team. One of the players who actually has potential in abundance is Abundance Salau. You also have Johan Bengsbo, who is one of the most underrated wonder kids this year in FM. You have Hussein Carneal, and you even have one of the best goalkeepers within the league in Pontus Dahlberg. And as you can see, ability-wise, you have a solid enough squad to be contending for the title in Season 1. So if you're wanting to do a building a nation in a smaller league, this save, IFK Göteborg, is definitely the one that you need to try out. And who knows, you might even find the next Henrik Larsson or Zlatan Ibrahimovic while you're at it. So there we have it for today's video. I hope you all did enjoy. If you want to download any of these saves and give them a go for yourself with these custom managers, I will have a link down below to the Dropbox download file if you wish to download it, or you can join the Discord, download it from there as well. If you happen to enjoy, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so I want to hit that sub button. Let me know what saves you are all starting post the winter update, and if you're going to take any of these on yourselves. But until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.